Are you interested in learning about synthetic division? Well, you've come to the right place, my friend, because I'm going to teach you how to do that with the following example of 4x raised to the fourth minus 2x cubed minus 4x plus 2, which is all being divided now by 2x minus 1. So first start with your dividend. Oh boy. Well, if that's how this video is going to start, we're in for a fun ride. Take a look at your dividend, which is the term to the left of that division symbol. Too many D's in the problem. Too many D's, too many words that begin with D here. Dividend, divisor. Well, there's really only two, so whatever. So look at your dividend, and what you're going to do is you're going to locate your highest power of x. Okay, you're going to add 1 to it. So in this case, it's a 4, so you're going to add 1 to it, so that's going to be a total of 5. Now what that's going to do is it's going to tell you the number of columns you need here inside of your synthetic division table. All right. Now what you have to make sure is that you have 5 terms in your polynomial function here in the dividend, but we don't. We have 4. What that means is that there's a term that's missing. All right, and we have to kind of quote unquote add it in. Now there's a certain pattern here. It goes x to the fourth, x cubed, and then there should be an x squared, but it's not there. Then it jumps to x, and then it jumps to nothing. So I'm missing an x squared term, okay? So what you can do is you can rewrite this if you like, 4x to the fourth minus 2x cubed. And what you're going to do is now you're going to write in plus 0x squared. Because 0 times anything is 0, and adding 0 to something doesn't do anything. All right, so what the benefit, though, of this is that it tells me the coefficient of that x squared term. It is 0. Basically, if any terms are missing, just make it 0. I mean, that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so. Man, I used to love watching wrestling. Until I got into a fight and then my mom took it away. And that just happened last year. What? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Anyway, if you like Stone Cold, leave a comment below. So now that you have all of your terms here, you have 5 terms, what you're going to do is you're going to plug in their coefficients now into your table. All right, you always start with the highest power of x, the coefficient of that, and then you work your way on down, okay? So the first coefficient here is a positive 4, the next one's going to be a negative 2, the one after that's going to be a 0, the one after that's going to be a negative 4, and then the last one is going to be a 2, okay? Those are now the values. I'm just going to erase this because we don't need it anymore. Now what you're going to do is you're going to turn your attention over to the divisor. And you're going to take this now, whatever the divisor is, and you're going to set it equal to 0. And what you're going to do is you're going to solve this bad boy for x. And the benefit of that is going to be that whatever you get over here is going to be the term you're going to plug into the outside of your table. So we got a positive 1/2. All right. Hopefully I didn't make a mistake while I was talking. Let me just make sure. It looks good to me. All right, so now, once you have the top row filled out, all right, there's a very simple series of steps. Just take your first coefficient, drop it all the way down. So whatever this is now, it's a 4. You're going to take 4 and you're going to multiply it by half. So what's half of 4? It should be a 2, right? But if you have to do the math out on the side, just take the half, multiply it by then whatever this value is over 1, and then simply multiply the numerators together, then multiply the denominators together, and then what's 4 divided by 2? It's a 2. Okay, so whatever this result is now, you're going to plug it into the next adjacent cell over here. So positive 2. Then what you're going to do is you're going to add the results here of this column together. So that works out to be a 0. Okay, now that's cool. Then what you're going to do now, next step is you're going to take your 0 value here and you're going to multiply it by that 1/2. Now obviously 0 times anything is just 0, so just plug in a 0 here. And what's 0 plus 0? Well, it's just 0. Well, that's fun. Then you're going to take this value, which is a 0, you're going to multiply it by the outside value of 1/2. You're going to plug in its value there in the next adjacent cell, which also is a 0. Then add those terms on up, so that's just going to be a negative 4. Then take this result, multiply by that outside value, hopefully you're detecting the pattern here, and that's going to work out to be now a negative 2. All right, it's the same math as over here, except we got a negative 4, right? So this whole thing is just negative. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add this result together, which comes out to be a 0. Now, at the end of this process, you are not guaranteed to get a 0. Don't worry if you don't get a 0, all right? As long as you did all the math correctly, you have to follow the steps here. So if this is some number, don't worry about it. It'll be okay, all right? Now, let's just keep in mind what these values represent, okay? The first value over here will always represent, to the right that is, will always represent the remainder. The next term is always the constant term, and then here, the coefficient of x, the coefficient of x squared, and then the coefficient of your x cubed, and dot, 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 however many columns you have here in the table, okay? But remainder first, constant, and then you got this pattern going on now. Now what you have to do, before you write down, before you write down your final quotient, you got to check one thing. You got to look back at your divisor. And whatever the coefficient is of your x term in your divisor, now you must take that value and divide it into each of these values, not the remainder though. Okay, so let's do that. So let's back out of this just so we have a little more space. Divide this by 2, divide this by 2, divide this by 2, and divide that by 2. Now what you're going to do is just do the math. 4 divided by 2 is going to be a 2. So you're going to plug that value in there. 0 divided by 2 is 0, right? So both of these are going to be 0. So that's fine, 0 and 0. And negative 4 divided by 2 is going to be a negative 2. Fantastic. Now these are the true coefficients. Okay, these will be the true coefficients now. So I'm just going back and plugging in those terms. And now we are allowed to write out our final quotient, okay? So watch how we're going to do this. 2x cubed. So we write down, let me put this in black. This is going to be 2x cubed. Plus now 0x squared. I'm going to write the whole thing out even though I don't really have to write these zeros. Plus 0x minus 2, not minus 2c, but just minus 2 because it's a constant. There is no x. And then plus here, your remainder, whatever it is, 0, all divided by then whatever your divisor is, 2x minus 1. Okay? Then, just now clean this up a little bit. Cancel the terms you don't need, or that just cancel. Anything times 0 is 0, so that goes bye-bye, that goes bye-bye. And 0 divided by anything is just 0, so that goes bye-bye. So in other words, what you're left with now is you're left with simply 2x cubed minus 2. And if you wanted to leave it like this, that's totally fine. If you wanted to factor it out, if you wanted to have a 2 here and then just an x cubed minus 1, that's cool too. I mean, there's so many ways you can write this, right? It doesn't really matter at that point. And if it does matter, well, you know, people need hobbies. And taking off points on tests, I guess, is a hobby. Anyway, but that would be the answer. Now, what you can do if you like is you can just check to make sure that this is indeed the right answer. In other words, when you take your dividend and you divide it by a divisor, you're going to get a quotient. So what would that look like written out? Take a look. Bam. So here it is. So when you take this term and you divide it by this term, you're going to get this term. Okay? So now let's just see if this makes sense logically. Now you can make up any value you want for x. Choose 0 just because it'll make your life nice and easy. And what you're going to do is you're going to plug 0 in everywhere you see your x, okay? Now, to save a little bit of time here, you know that once you plug in 0, this thing goes bye-bye. This thing goes bye-bye because 0 times anything is just 0. That goes bye-bye. This thing will go bye-bye. And this thing goes bye-bye, okay? So what you're now left with is you're left with now positive 2 over a negative 1. And what you're left with on the other side is a negative 2. So is 2 divided by a negative 1, which is negative 2, equal to negative 2? Well, I think it is. So therefore, we know that we're good with our check. Okay, so in other words, I know that this polynomial over here is indeed the quotient. So hopefully that helps. Guys, thanks so very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. If you can, like, subscribe, maybe tell some of your classmates. I really want to help more people, okay? We got thousands of videos out there to help a ton of people. All right, and we solve specific problems, not only in math here, but we got a whole bunch of stuff in chemistry, physics, and we have a lot more stuff coming. All right? We'd love to help you with more. Check us out. We'll see you soon.